Welcome to Something Nice with Dinano. Thank you very much for being a part of this podcast. Thank you to every single channel member who has contributed to the success of this channel. And thank you to you as a subscriber, as someone who watches this channel on a regular basis. We want to really say we truly appreciate you. Today we are bringing you an interesting guest who reached out and said they have something they want to share with the community of Something Nice with Dinano. Mr. Tato. I struggle with the surname, so I'll let him introduce himself and what he is all about.
Oh, my name is Tato Matsemela. I was born in KwaZulu-Natal, but actually raised in Lesotho. That's the place that I'm born.
Okay.
I was actually dwelling. I was born in the Zululand, but dwelling in Lesotho.
And you somehow left Zululand without having learnt the language.
I struggle with that.
Okay.
I really struggle with that. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Just give us a bit of a background on who you are, what your interests are, and what you really want to be sharing today on Something Nice with Dinano.
Okay. I guess I'm an individual person who actually been studying the Bible like for a long time, trying to understand what's wrong with it, what's the truth within it. So I'm actually a high school dropout, and I've been doing some other things in business-wise, developing the tech company that I'm working on. It's still a startup company. So I've been studying the Bible. Shout out to Black Education TV in Zulu-Natal was dropping this information, and Mosa, I was able to investigate the information. I was able to actually, look into it. I had questions like, why would you believe in a human sacrifice for the forgiveness of sins when you come to the Bible? So the Bible itself, when it comes to the Bible, it's a transliteration, which means it's a translation after translation. It's plagiarized from its original scrolls, from Bantu to Hebrew to Greek and other translations. So it is a genetically modified language. Hebrew is a genetically modified language. So the Bible also is a genetically modified book, which means that it is the truth, but the truth which is brought in deception for people to be deceived. But there is truth within it. It's for you to make an effort of separating salt from water, take the truth and remove the colonial propaganda within it.
You speak of Hebrew scrolls, Greek scrolls, and you speak of Bantu scrolls. Personally, I've heard of Hebrew, Greek, I'll say transcripts of the Bible. I've heard the mention of Bantu scripts or Bantu scrolls, but I know nothing of it. Do you want to just take us through these different transcripts or manuscripts of the Bible and how we ended up with what we have today? Could be King James, CES, CEV, today's English translation, whatever other translations we have, and what we should look out for.
Because purposely it was done on purpose. It was done purposely to deceive people. This is one. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a plan all along, because we know that inside the text it clearly says that the beast changed times and laws that it was prophesied, meaning that the times, the book itself from its origin, they have to change it. So the prophecy was actually fulfilled of the beast changing times and laws, such as the Gregorian calendar, not the Bantu calendar. We are following the Gregorian calendar, which was introduced in 15th centuries. So what we are actually looking at, it's something which is very important, but yet it is brought in deception. That is when you look into the old maps of David Ramsey map collections, you might find out the Greeks were here, the Romans were here, even the Hebrews were here, actually conquering Zimbabwe. If you access those maps, go to David Ramsey map collections.
Before we get to the maps, I'm asking about the manuscripts. What we've known to be called the original transcripts or manuscripts of the Bible, whether Hebrew scrolls, Greek scrolls, and now when you come through talking about the Bantu scrolls, do you have any information that could legitimize your claim? Say, the Hebrew scrolls maybe were the first scrolls that the Greek copied from, or vice versa, or was it the Bantu scrolls that came first before we had the emergence of the King James Bible, whether it came in 1611 or whatever time. Can you give us a roadmap
Okay.
of how these manuscripts ended up being the King James Version, which would be the first Western Bible that came with the other ones that we know of today?
First, the original Bible is in Bantu. Then, when you come to the Hebrew language, let me make you a very, very good example about the Hebrew language. The Hebrew language is a combination of different languages: Greek, Latin, and Aramaic. The same way as the African language, it's a combination of four languages, which is Dutch, Khoi, Portuguese, and Arabic. It's a genetically modified language. It's a made-up language. You get what I mean? That is why the Afrikaners tell them they always lie to us and tell us that they are the indigenous people here, but we know that they are beneficiary of colonialism and apartheid. So Hebrew, it's a made-up language. So it was copied from the Bantus, turned to Hebrew, to the Greeks, and to other translations. Now we have the King James.
Okay, which came first from these transcripts or manuscripts of the Bible?
The Bantu are the ones that are represented. They are the chosen people that represents the Creator.
Take us back then to how far the Bantu manuscripts go, and maybe give references where you say, look at this word in the Bantu languages. Here it is in the Bible. They haven't translated it. They have left it as is. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you have such examples?
Yeah, I do have such. There are texts, there are verses inside the Bible. You found mene mene, takele, opanzili. And it's mene mene takel. We know that mene mene, le mene mene, it's a transgressor. Or opanzili, it means to go, or to actually to lose wealth. It's mene mene takele. Takele means to actually to go overboard. Opanzili means that to actually, you've lost prosperity or wealth. That's the Bantu. They didn't even translate it. There are other languages, Xhosa languages that were translated. Let me give you an example. When the son was actually not on the cross, he wasn't on the cross. He was hanging on the tree. He wasn't a human sacrifice. They killed the Son of the Most High. Okay. So he was Eli. He said, Eli Eli lama sabatani, Eli Eli lizwe lam. This word is mine. Eli Eli lama sabatani. What they do is add or remove, as it was prophesied. So they say sapakatani. Sabatani is a Sabbath keeper. Eli Eli lama sabat. This is for Sabbath keepers. That's the real interpretation. It's Xhosa. He speaks Bantu. He was born in Bethlehem, in South Africa. Raised in Nazareth, in South Africa.
We have such. Okay, I know of Bethlehem, which is down the road from Joburg, which is somewhere in the place that they call the Free State. Maybe we should also change these names. Should we call the Free State Lesotho or Basotho? I don't know where Nazareth is in the country currently known as South Africa. Locate it for us.
We have Nazareth also in Lesotho. There is Nazareth in Lesotho. But the Basotho were told lies that the Church of the Romans called it Nazareth because of the church. No, it's a lie. Because we have West Nazareth, South Nazareth, and East Nazareth. The same way Hebron in Botswana, Hebron in South Africa. It is there. So when you look into the text itself, Abraham left. In fact, when you go to the Bethlehem story, it's the etymology. It means the house of bread. When you ask and make research about why did they name this Bethlehem, because we have the concept that it was named by a white man. But it wasn't. It was there before. Even in the older maps, it was there before even a white man even came here. Because when you look, what's the reason of calling that place Bethlehem? This is a house of bread because the land is fertile for plantation. We know that Sasco is able to supply this bread because they use the land of Bethlehem, which is a stolen land. So South Africa is a project which actually belongs to white people, which is created out of stolen land.
Okay. Now here's an interesting thing for me. We might not have structure to this interview because as he's saying something else is coming up in my mind. The project of Israel and the project of apartheid, they have a common denominator, which is the year they started in, right? So that country, which is currently known as Israel, somewhere in an area called the Middle East, it started in 1948. This country, which is currently known as South Africa, which had an apartheid law that was devastating to the native people whose origins now are being questioned by the same settlers, right, that settled here. They've even gone as far as now asking for help from the US Apartheid also started in 1948, which is the laws that spoke to the displacement of black people, that really disenfranchised them from the wealth, from a lot of things in the country. Is there a reason behind these common dates, that inception of that Israel and the beginning of the apartheid government here? By the way, my father was also born the same year. So should we look into this and see something?
Definitely, there's a huge link in this. Let me give you an example. You when you look into the text, you never hear or you never read that Abraham went to northeast. There are no resources because Israel, it's a combination of three deities: Isis, Ra, and El. It's Israel when you combine them together. So there are no resources in Israel. There are no gold. Where did Solomon mine his gold in Israel? Where are the resources? Where are the stones which the priests were on their necks? Where are those stones? They are not found in Israel. So in 1948, when apartheid began here in South Africa, Israel was discovered in 1948 because the southern region was actually isolated in 1948.
Carry on.
So the black people had to be isolated because there were scrolls which were discovered in 1948. It doesn't make sense that because when Israel was discovered in 1948, the southern region was isolated and people were brutally murdered, were brutally killed. So the scrolls were found. When you like Google or try to find where are the original scrolls, it is Qumran, which locates you to Israel. But it's a deception. They bring the truth, but they bring it in deception. So when you remove an N, it's Kimra. They changed it into Umka, into King Williamstown. That's how they changed it.
Okay. Let me correct you there.
Uh-huh.
I know of both places.
Uh-huh.
I'm from that area.
Uh-huh.
King Williamstown is now Iqon, but the people from there have always known it as Iqon.
Uh-huh.
Strange sounding name. I don't know what it means, but I can just tell you that it probably has some Ku and Kwe influences in the name. The K and the K. Right? Ku and Kwe would be your so-called San people. And then even Kumcha, I don't know what you called it, but it's called Kumcha. The white men called it Komga because they can't say those words. So those are the two places. It's not the same place, same region, same area, about 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers apart. So I just wanted to correct that. Okay, so Qumran or Qumran, somewhere in the Middle East, and then there's Kumcha here. What's the link? 1948, is it the Dead Sea Scrolls that get found?
I don't think you heard me correctly. Let me rephrase myself again.
Okay.
The Qumran inside in Israel, it was actually they add, like I say, they add or remove. All you have to do is remove N, and it locates you to Eastern Cape. The descendants of Naphtali, one of his children is Nguni, which is Nguni. So they changed it by the add or remove. As it was prophesied. So the father and the son are speaking Bantu languages. It's just that they don't have permission to change everything. They don't. In the book of Judges, it stated that Naphtali and Zebulun were in the heights of the battlefield. You know that they don't play in the battlefield. They don't play in the battlefield. That the Zulus don't play in the battlefield. So they were warriors. They are very skilled when it comes to war. They are very skilled when it comes to actually, to war, when it comes to shield and spear. They're very skilled. Gun, which is Nguni, are descendants of Naphtali, which we know as Natal. So this Natal and Zulu are two tribes which merged into one. It is called KwaZulu-Natal. They are in the seacoast. They are because Zebulun and Naphtali, they are by the seacoast. Because KwaZulu-Natal is by the seacoast. These two tribes are merged into one. So the son of Naphtali is Nguni. The Nguni are the ones that are related, the Ndebeles from Malawi and Zimbabweans. Those are the children of Naphtali. Whether we like it or not, we are very, very related here in the southern part of Africa. We are very close towards each other. It's just that a matter of waking up and understanding ourselves. So what I'm saying is that even though I may mispronounce it, I know it's Umka, so I will certify it. Umka.
Yeah.
It's Umka. So Umka, they changed Umka into King Williamstown so that people cannot connect the dots. They changed it so that people cannot connect the dots.
They changed it to Komka.
They changed it from Komka to King Williamstown.
No. King Williamstown is Ekong,
Uh-huh.
which is the capital of the Eastern Cape,
Uh-huh.
by the Buffalo River.
Mm-hmm.
About 70 kilometers northeasterly, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
there's Kumcha,
Mm-hmm.
which is Komka,
Mm-hmm.
which resembles Qumran or Qumran
Okay.
without the N.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the same place, different places.
Uh-huh.
Unless this is now part of the confusion which you're referring to, which we then would have to go to history, because Qonce has a long history, and it's dated there. The city hall is probably from the early 1900s or the late 1800s.
Okay.
Then it would be a matter of now having to go there and finding out how far back this place goes. How far back does Qumcha go?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me give you other references to actually add on what I'm saying.
Okay.
When Abraham was in Egypt, he went up out of Egypt into southwards, into Canaan's land. So Canaan's land doesn't start with a C. Canaan's land starts with a K.
Kanana. Okay.
Canaan. It's Canaan. It's called Canaan.
Okay.
Canaan, because we were intermingling with the Khoisan. That's why it's a Xhosa and Basotho, they're able to speak in cliques because we were intermingling with them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the land which is flowing with milk and honey. It was promised to Akobi. Jacob is Akobi, and Akobi means firstborn in Yoruba. It means firstborn. So Esau, it's Congo. Edom, the Edomites. Zaya, it's Congo. So here is actually Akobi's children.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So here it's actually Akobi's children. So Akobi means firstborn. Even in the book of Exodus claims that let Akobi go, or Israel go. They just changed his name into Israel, who is my firstborn.
Okay. Let's go back to those scrolls, 1948. What was contained in those scrolls? What is so important then, do you think it could be a point of departure for such a conversation as the one we're having today?
The scrolls were written in Bantu, so it cannot be like announced or actually put in public. The more if it was put in public, it was going to be a contradiction when it comes to the Bible. People are going to question the Bible. People are going to question Christianity. People are going to question this Messiah that they believe in. So it was going to create a lot of confusion, so that it could actually, bring trouble towards white people who are in control of religion. We are dealing with people who knows human psychology, who have studied the psychology of human and how to manipulate a human's mind. So it will actually collapse their religion system, the economy, because the first decolonization project that comes within yourself, it's decolonizing the religious system, your spirituality. You need to connect with your spirituality, understand who you are, because Christianity doesn't even resonate with Ubuntu spirit. It doesn't at all. You believe in a human sacrifice for the forgiveness of sins. For you to be forgiven, you rely on a human sacrifice, but yet he wasn't a human sacrifice. He was killed. And his real name is not Jesus. His real name is Musindisi. It's Mupulusi, meaning savior, for he comes to save his people. So when Abraham came here, he went to Mamre and Hebron. Mamre in Cape Town.
Where was he from?
He was from Egypt, heading
Okay.
southwards. So that is why Lesotho is called the kingdom in the sky, because the elevation of Africa, when you go south, it's upwards. When you go north, it's downwards. That's when the flood took place from the south, and it was heading north because of the elevation.
Okay. So he came down.
He came up. He was down. Egypt is down.
He came up out of Egypt
Up.
and came to
Canaan's land, which is in South Africa.
How can you support that claim that
Like
Kanana is here?
Canaan. When you look into study the etymology of words, use the Strongs. When you study the etymology of words, it's like a dictionary of the Bible. It shows you where the translators could have written the words they were using from. They were changing, so they were interchanging words. So Canaan, even in Hebrew translation, even in Sotho translation, even in Xhosa translation, it's a K. It's a K. So that's why you have Canaan municipality in South Africa.
Okay.
So
Would that be the area where this ancient Canaan is?
exactly.
Whereabout is it in South Africa?
From the Jerusalem city, starts from the Great Walls of Zimbabwe, which are connected to Mpumalanga's walls.
The Great Zimbabwe ruins.
The Great Zimbabwe. That's where Solomon mined his gold. Zimbabwe is the land of fear. I don't believe there's no country that has gold like Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has a lot of gold. That's Solomon's walls, which are connected to Botswana and through Namibia. So the temple itself was located in Namibia, but the city was a huge, huge city. They will point you to Israel and forget about the resources which we have here in this land. They will point you to Israel and forget about the history of your forefathers, their creativity and their ideas which they were working on. So to think that you cannot survive without a white person, it's a white ideology because you're still using the white man's system.
For someone who's listening to you and saying, hey, I don't get what this brother is saying, can you give us credible references that could convince the biggest of doubters in the message that you're bringing? How do you convince them? We've heard archaeological. That's what the Caucasians are saying on the comments. We've got archaeological evidence there. Ron Wyatt has been doing documentaries. Who, if you just take the time and go to one of these large language models about his discoveries, they say this Ron Wyatt guy who's described as an amateur archaeologist, which means it's not his profession. Just someone who decided to do these things. He's described as an amateur archaeologist. He says he's come up with evidence that the armies of Ramses, or the pharaoh that was ruling during the Exodus, his armies sank in the Red Sea. They claim to have found chariot wheels. So for those people, are you concerned about convincing them? How do you convince them with impeccable evidence that you are looking at the wrong location? Everything is happening down here. I might even beam some of the maps you had sent me to try to convince them, but give them compelling evidence.
Okay. Let's start with the geographical locations where these things took place. To start with, I'll actually start with Noah. Let's start with Noah. Noah's sons, so you can understand. Noah's sons Noah had 3 sons, which is Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? So there is no Ham in Africa. The concept of Ham here in Africa, there is no Ham in Africa. And it's a lie by the Europeans to say that the Khoisan are the oldest people here in Africa. The Khoisan are not the oldest people here in Africa. Because in this tent that Shem was blessed, which is Africa, then it quotes that Japheth shall dwell in the tents of Shem, which is Cush, Put, Egypt, and Canaanites, the Khoisan. So within the tents of Shem, Japheth shall dwell there in the state. So there is no Ham in Africa. It's a lie to say that the second son can become the last born. It's a lie in the Bible. It's a lie. They are deceiving you. You have to investigate the Josephus when they are lying to you. So there is no Ham in Africa. So Shem, within the descendants of Shem, Abraham was actually chosen, and to Isaac and to Jacob. And when you look into the descendants of Jacob, there is the Zebulun and Naphtali. They are not by the seacoast. It says that Zebulun and Naphtali are by the seacoast, but in Israel, Zebulun and Naphtali, they are not by the seacoast, and there is no sea in Israel. There is no sea. Zebulun is Zulu. Naphtali is Natal and Natal. So these are 2 tribes which merged into one. It is renamed by the Portuguese, by the Romans. It is called KwaZulu Natal. This is the story of Bantu.
You speak of Josephus. I want you to tell us who Josephus is. You say there's no sea
in Israel. There's no sea in Israel.
They speak of Sea of Galilee. There's the Mediterranean. What do you mean there's no sea?
When Sindis was heading to Capernaum, it quotes that Capernaum is by the seacoast. Then when you look into the Capernaum, which locates you to Israel, there's no sea. It's a lake. Automatically does not match what has been said inside the text. There's no sea. It's a lake. You can even look into your Google map. It's a lake. There's no sea. So the real Capernaum is Cape Town, which is by the seacoast. Cape Town is Capernaum.
Josephus and the Sea of Galilee?
Galilee is called Galilee Court. That's the location of Galilee. That's why it's called Galilee Court in Cape Town.
No. I'm asking by the one that's made reference to.
Or the
That they
Josephus.
claim is there, right? And I am saying there's also the Mediterranean, not too far. It's the part of the coast of Tel Aviv, for example, is by the Mediterranean.
Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv in Israel.
It's by the Mediterranean.
Yes, you say there's no sea in Israel.
There's no sea because when you look into the geographical location where these things are mentioned, like when you look into like Zebulun and Naphtali, there's no sea. It quotes that it's by the sea coast. So where is the sea in Israel? But it's near, but it's not.
Here's the sea.
Then where is Zebulun?
Here's Tel Aviv. I don't know, but I'm just responding to what you are saying that there's no sea in Israel.
There's no sea in Capernaum. Where is Capernaum?
Okay. Do you understand where Israel is? Do you know where Israel is?
Northeast.
You see the map that I'm showing you?
Yeah, I can see the map.
Is this the map of Israel?
The map of Israel? What do you mean by that? Like Israel a nation? No.
Tato, the land, the place that is currently known as Israel, with the Star of David on the map, the blue and white map. This is the geographical location where the so-called war is happening between them and Gaza, right?
Yes.
In the Gaza Strip. Not them and Gaza, them and Hamas, or them and the Palestinian. This is that area. Do you agree?
I agree. This is Israel.
Okay. What is here?
It's the sea.
Which sea?
The Mediterranean Sea.
Okay. So when you say there's no sea, what do you mean?
I mean Capernaum.
Where's Capernaum? We usually call it Capernaum. Where is it here? I wouldn't know all these geographical locations.
Capernaum is Cape Town.
But here, do they have Capernaum here?
Yes, but which is the lake?
Okay.
Which is the lake?
Okay. But this is why I'm saying it's going to be difficult to convince someone if you say there's no sea in Israel. And then the person says, man, there's the sea. Tel Aviv is by the Mediterranean. You say there's no sea. We heard of the Sea of Galilee. Granted, it looks like a lake here. But who knows what a body of water was called? Maybe it was a matter of being lost in translation.
I hear you, but I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Let me give you a reason why. When you look into the Capernaum there in Israel, when you look into the Capernaum there in Israel, is it by the seacoast in Israel?
I don't even know where it is. I'm counting on you as a person who says
It is not
Dave.
by the seacoast.
Okay.
It is not by the seacoast. I did not change. I'm not changing my statement by saying Capernaum. Capernaum is by the seacoast. Then the Capernaum, which is in Israel, is not by the seacoast. I'm not changing my statement there because clearly it is not by the seacoast.
What do these scrolls that were found in Qumcha entail? Do they reveal something that we...
They were revealed
not
once
know?
in a history channel, but it was actually like taken as a screenshot. For you to access and look into those maps, you have to go to the Black Re-Education website. They posted the maps, and they even have a website. They even have a Bantu calendar within it. So they are there. They are written in Bantu. There are Bantu languages in the English. But let me give you another example to understand Mintati. Let's talk about John. When you like study the etymology of John.
Wait, before we go to John,
Okay.
I'm asking what is entailed in these Qumcha scrolls? What information do we have there that could be against what is in what we call today the King James Bible or the Bible that we study today?
Okay. First thing is that not all information they revealed only a prototype of it, So which means that not all information was revealed. But the only thing that you can understand is that it's a different language from a Hebrew language. That's the difference that you can actually indicate. And with that indication can actually bring up a lot of information and investigate if you actually look into it.
Okay. So would you then say those scrolls that were found in Qumcha were in a Bantu language?
Perhaps yes, I would say yes, they are in Bantu languages.
Which Bantu language?
It was you will find eyona, ngwana, probably nguni, probably Xhosa, probably Sotho, but
Okay.
yeah.
So you've got a copy or screenshots of a copy that
on the
I'll
web,
be able to read as a person who speaks a Bantu language.
you can even look at the clips because they were not like what you call like foot stops. It was just like letters there, but you can be able to detect that it is written eyona, ngwana. It is written there. You can actually detect. You can.
Would they then be against what the Bible is saying, or would they reveal that the Bible, as presented to us today,
It's
is
a
missing
lie.
a couple of things?
The Bible, it's like I said before, the Bible is the truth which is mixed with deception. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So for you to understand the truth, you have to separate it from deception.
Where is the truth found then, in its completeness, on its entirety?
Number one is you have to connect the dots by actually connecting it with geographical locations. Like I said, where did Abraham move? The movement of Abraham, when he was in Egypt. Why did he didn't go northeast? But you can't take 40 years from Egypt to Israel. It's impossible. You can take 12 days even if you take a wrong direction.
Yeah, that's one of the things I also struggle with when I look at the story of the Exodus. Look at that distance, but to be fair, we don't know where exactly they moved from. I saw a documentary recently which says they were in a delta there, which is not too far from where Suez Canal is today, and where Nile pours out into the Mediterranean. Right. So if they were moving from there to the place today known as Israel, it's quite close. Maybe at max 300, 400 kilometers. I could be wrong. I don't see it also taking 40 years. But now, when you guys come up and say these guys were moving from there to somewhere here in the south, then the 40-year trip could make sense, right?
Because when you look into the movement, in the book of Numbers claims that they landed in Paran. Paran, when you look into the old maps, it's a PH, not a PA. It's a PH. So Paran, it's in Niger. That's where he landed. And Moses sent spies to go to Canaan's land. And they went southwards into Canaan's land. Not central, but southwards. And there is a verse that says, do not go war with your brothers, which is Esau, for they are your brothers. So Esau, which is Edom in Congo, though that is Agob's twin brother, and he wasn't a white man. He was actually a light in complexion. It's a lie by the Europeans.
You speak of Josaphat. Is it Josaphat?
No, not Josaphat. The Romans are the ones that translated the Bible.
You made reference to someone called Josephus.
No, the Josephus, the organizations of the Josephus,
Okay.
they were there also when they were actually implementing and plagiarizing the scrolls.
Who are these organizations? What's their role in this?
Their role
deception?
is to remove the historical facts and also to remove the content and also to remove the geographical locations and renamed it. That's why our places are renamed. So that we cannot understand. When you look into the Old Testament, there's no kingdom of heaven. There's no kingdom of God. It was introduced in the New Testament. The concept of giving
Was it introduced by Umsindisi?
No, it was introduced by the Romans. Heaven is coming on earth, not another way around. You get what I'm saying? So this is the land which the creator, the name of the creator, let me start there. The name of the creator is Sonini Nanini, not Elohim, Yahweh, Yahushua. No, it's Sonini. Why? When you study the etymology, you need to study the etymology because it's a transliteration, because they translate, when you study the etymology of Elohim, there's a Hebrew letter, it says Nini. So it's Sonini Nanini to add reference. That's how we titled Sonini Nanini as Mudimu Ramasedi Mvilengwangi or Tatanzambi. That's how we titled the creator. It means I am that I am. So all these things which are mentioned inside the Bible, you just have to look into it. Let me give you, if you want me to start by John, if you don't mind. John is the John. When you look into the etymology of John, Greek, Hebrew is Lochanan. They added John in English, but his real name is Lechanyani, which means little light, so that he can descend to become the bigger light. He was operating in Lesotho. He was in Lesotho. You can Google it, Nehemiah's cave in Lesotho. You can even Google it. Nehemiah's cave in Lesotho. He was operating in Lesotho. He was in Lesotho but operating in Capenham. So Capenham, which is in Cape Town. So he was in the prison island, right? So he was in the prison island, because when you look at Patmos in Greece, there's no prison island. Patmos in Greece, there's no prison island. So he was in a prison island known as Robben Island, the same very prison island which Nelson Mandela went. So the book of Revelation was written in Cape Town.
Nehemiah's cave in Lesotho. 'Cause
Nehemiah's
this
cave.
one is showing me one close to Capernaum.
You can use a search engine called, if you don't mind using it. I use a search engine.
Lehahali Sehonyane.
Yeah, that's the
Is that the place?
It's that the place. That is
Okay.
Nehemiah's cave.
Okay. Yeah, so John, when he's writing the book of Revelation, you say he's in Robben Island.
Robben Island. That's the prison island. That's the oldest prison island that we have. So he was writing the scrolls there, which were plagiarized. The book of Revelation. He was a traditional healer, a sangoma, ngoma. He wrote the scrolls he wrote the book of Revelation in Cape Town. That's where he wrote the book of Revelation. He was a traditional healer. The Bantu languages in the English Bible, they are there.
Okay. What's the point of all this deception? Why do you think it's so important for them to hide these things? What's the mission? What's the goal?
For them is when you control a belief system, when you are in control of the God. I don't like using the word God. It represents the fallen angels. But the concept of God. So when you actually control it's a colonial tool, a white propaganda that was introduced to us not peacefully but violently. How many people were tortured in Cape Town? How many people were tortured to actually accept Jesus Christ as their personal savior? That you are born with sin. The day that you're born with sin. So the implementation of these religious systems, it is designed to continuously enslaving black people so that we as Abantu may be submissive towards white people. White people, it is there in the Bible that if you break my commandments, you shall be the tails. For foreigners shall come into your land, for you shall be tails. For they shall own the land, for they shall be heads. White people own the land. White people own the infrastructure. White people own everything.
What are these laws that we broke, and how do we restore ourselves to where we need to be according to what we've been called to become?
Now, I think the first thing to do is to tap into your spirituality and understand who you are. That's what I'm giving you my own example, what I do, my own method. I always say, Modimo wabadimo bag. That's how I say, the God of my ancestor, the creator of my ancestors. So when you connect through your ancestors, even the Bible claims that worship your forefathers. It says that honor your mother and your father so that your days may be many. So which means that honor, the synonyms of honor is worship, praise. You praise your honor. But the ultimate supreme worship goes to the creator, is Sonini Nanini. Because when you see them, you recognize the reflection of the one who is behind them.
Okay.
So there's an old map of 1450 which shows that Africa was covered in castles. There are castles in South Africa, which means the creativity that we had, the technology which was used to build the Great Walls of Zimbabwe. It's the biggest walls, they're bigger than the Great Walls of China. No. Because they're bigger because Africa as a continent. Africa as a continent. It's actually the biggest continent in the world. And to name it Africa or to name it Alkebulan, it's a deception. The real name of Africa is Emhlabeni. That is why it's called Earth. Because of the continent of Africa, it is shaped like an ear.
Lefatsi, the land of our fathers.
The land of our fathers. So they renamed these things so that we cannot connect the dots. When you are born in this kind of situation that you don't understand what is going on, you have to make an effort of actually finding the truth. Because we are born in the world which is full of deception, that we are deceived by the colonial system. That we are meant to do this, but not actually tapping into your spirituality. I think the truth will set you free as long as you keep on accessing or keep on looking for your purpose. If you find your purpose, I believe that's the biggest achievement, which is more than wealth or more than money. We do have our own purposes in this world.
How do we go back so that we can be who we're supposed to be?
It starts with the mind. It starts with the mind.
You spoke of laws that we haven't kept, so that we ended up becoming the tails and they became the head. So how do we go back to being the head and not the tails, according to the scriptures which you are quoting?
It starts as an individual, and you have to investigate and make an effort of studying and understanding these things. What is it? That we are living in the world is full of secrecy everywhere. So you need to actually find the truth. The truth is hidden amongst us. But those that are in power, they are the ones that knows the truth. So for us to go back, the reincarnation of King David is happening. It's going to happen when they shall remember themselves who they are, that they are a royal priesthood, that they are the children of the King. When they come back, people who are in America, people who are in Caribbeans, people who are in Jamaica, they were taken as slaves by the Portuguese when they came here in 1400s. They were taken as slaves here in 1400s with the Portuguese, the Zimbabwe, Basotho, Botswana. Why is that the Voortrekkers are known as Jerusalem Gangsters and gangsters? Because they destroyed the temple of Jerusalem. They destroyed the Jerusalem. They came here and destroyed our own kind.
Are they known as the Jerusalem?
You can Google it. Jerusalem Gangsters and gangsters. They are gangsters, Jerusalem gangsters. Die Jerusalem gangsters.
Okay. Who are these people then?
We know them as the Boers. They changed their name into the Boers. The farmers.
You say they're Jerusalem gangsters.
Yeah, the Voortrekkers are Jerusalem gangsters.
Who call them this?
They call themselves this because
No. Jerusalem gangsters. Who call them that?
By Adam. They named by Adam. Adam was the leader.
In closing, it's just showing me the movie.
No, you just have to use. Could you please use a search engine called togoda.com if you don't mind? TOGODA.com.
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 Okay, and then what do I search for?
The Voortrekkers are Jerusalem gangsters.
Voortrekkers Jerusalem. Do you think what is currently happening now with the AfriForum guys and Trump has anything to do with what we are discussing?
Remember that America it's also Trump. They also stole the land from the Red Indians there. Remember that.
Don't call them Red Indians. The Apache and those tribes.
The other tribes there.
Yeah.
No apologies. No. So the Americans stole the land. So they have a lot in common. The same way as the Boers stole the land here. So why would they? There's this concept in that the Tsapodi Lesotho wanting the land back, but unfortunately behind him was Israel. So he wanted Lesotho he wanted the whole Free State to come back to Lesotho. I think it is a great opportunity for people to go back and study history, what happened in that time, But behind him, I don't support that movement because it's a way of Israel by avenging against South Africa when South Africa took them to court, and by trying to create that kind of conflict by using Lesotho. You get what I'm saying?
I hear.
So Lesotho are disadvantaged because the land was taken. No Moshoto signed a petition that the land should be under the British protection. There's no evidence in 1888. There is no evidence about that. There's no evidence about that. So it's a lie, and we are taught lies about these things. They took the land by force. And the thing, and Moshosho's history, I do have personal questions about it. Why would you ask for the protection for the same very people that massacred your own kind? Mm. Number one, could be the history, it's been plagiarized, or probably he's a sellout.
In closing, what do you want to come out of this interview? What do you want people to hear? What is your message to the children of Sonini?
For them to go back to own the land back. For them to actually return.
Look at the camera and address them.
For you to understand yourself and look for your purpose in life. I think the more you get close to the Creator, it's the more you find your purpose. What is your purpose? So to go back and to own the land, so that the whole world shall kneel down upon you, that you shall be kings again. So you are the chosen seed. You should go back and wake up. It's time to wake up.
That's Brother Tato. Is it Tato?
Tato.
Tato. And his message. I don't know what you think, but these are not my views. It is what he is bringing forth. If you are interested enough in the topic, we will take it further by inviting him for a live stream where you, as a person who follows Something Nice with Dinano, can engage him directly. I hear what he's saying. I've heard some of the claims. I don't know what to make of it. But I understand that there's deception out there. And it is time for us to try to seek the truth, because we've heard that if we have the truth, we will surely be free. We try to free our minds. We try to educate ourselves. But we also count on you to give us your take on whatever information that is brought forth on this channel. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Tato, for being here. This has been Something Nice with Dinano. Thank you very much.